Holiday break can be an absolutely frustrating time for adoptive and foster families. If you've ever seen your kids know how to do something and then forget it all of a sudden, whether that's their chores or how to brush their teeth or how to hold their pee in between potty breaks, then you're going to want to stick around and see some tips on how to help our kids who are so anxious reduce their anxiety during the holidays. Here's the one big truth when it comes to kids and anxiety. It is as anxiety goes up, functioning goes down. It is not at all uncommon to see kids who had previously learned skills completely forget them. They could do their ABCs one day, and the next day they can't. And the only difference is that one day that they're more anxious than the last. And if there's one truth about Christmas, it's that this: all kids get anxious around Christmas time. They are so excited about the presents and the changes and the family and the visits and the candies. And so if kids are going to get anxious, they're definitely going to be anxious during the holiday season. And this is really important to know, because if we don't realize that as anxiety goes up, functioning goes down, then we're going to interpret the things that these kids do as really insidious plots where they're staying up all night trying to figure out how are they going to make our lives miserable. But when we realize that as anxiety goes up, functioning goes down, we can recognize that the anxiety and the behaviors are not a challenge to our authority, but they're an indicator that our kids need help. If you went in to wake up your kid in the morning and they had a 104-degree temperature, you wouldn't scream at them and say, you have a 104-degree temperature. Yesterday your temperature was 98.6. I can't believe you're doing this to me. I think that you probably see that as an indication that something's going on that's wrong and you want to fix it. And the misbehaviors that come from anxiety are the same thing. We need to help our kids by helping them recognize what's going on inside of them to cause them to be anxious and cause them to lose these previous behaviors or causing them to misbehave in some way. So let's take a look at some ways that you can help your kid to calm down during the holiday seasons. The first is using one of the universal tools that adoptive and foster families need to use, and that is validation and empathy. Validation is simply calling the emotion for what it is. And empathizing is understanding that in the same situation, you might feel that way. And so we try to feel that feeling with them to help them kind of calm down along the way. For example, go get ready for school, and somehow they forget that that means brushing their teeth or combing their hair or putting on clean clothes or something. But they could do it every other day. We can scream and yell at them and say, what are you doing? You've been here 3 years. You're 12 years old. You're 8 years old. I can't believe you can't get ready in the morning. Or we can say, man, you must be feeling really anxious today. Validation. I can understand. You know, Christmas is coming up, and sometimes that makes me do crazy things too. So I get what you're going through. Validation and empathy. That doesn't mean they get off not with doing their chore, but maybe that's just an indicator of what? That they need some help. Or go and do the job with them. Say, hey, I can tell you're having a hard time today. Why don't you let me walk alongside you with the day and make sure you can do a really good job? Another good way to offer some validation and empathy is saying, I can see you're having a tough time. Why don't we take a break and why don't you sit on my lap and give me a hug, or let's have a cookie together, or let's do some reading time so your heart can kind of calm down a little bit before you get going. Hey, we have 3 more great tips about how to help your kids with anxiety during the holidays, but now it's time to wipe. So you're going to have to join us next time if you want to find out what those 3 tips are. And for everything that is beautiful, please do not forget to floss and wash your hands.